favorite people. It's Miss Berger.
And Miss Lamb.
And we're going to talk to you today about simple interest.
And I'm so glad we're doing the simple one because the compound is a little hard.
Well, they'll wait till Algebra 1 for that one.
Here's our learning target. I can solve simple interest practical problems using I equals PRT. So I like to party. PRT.
Oh,
I like to party.
Miss Lamb, you're so scandalous.
I know.
And we'll explain that formula here in a second. So, Miss Lamb, what is simple interest?
Well, simple interest is it's money that is accrued or earned.
I'm going to do earned.
Earned.
Ooh, apparently not.
From your investments.
Ooh.
So in other words, if you invest money, you have money and you put it in an account and it accrues interest or earns interest, it's added to your money. So that's really important because that's money earned. But sometimes we have to borrow money. And when we borrow money from the bank, we have to pay them some money back for the privilege of borrowing the money. So it's paid to the bank, and it's always done annually. This is kind of yearly interest, but it's money that's paid back because we borrow.
In addition to what you borrow.
Yeah.
Right. So interest could be like great for you or not so great, depending, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But the main thing, and we didn't write it down, but the main thing is that it is accrued annually, right? Per 1 year, right? Per year. All right, friends, let's dive into some simple interest problems. So I'll do the first one. It says, Jana bought a house in her hometown for $245,000. The bank charged her 6.8% interest in a loan that will take 30 years to pay off. What is the total amount of money she will pay back to the bank after 30 years? Woo! This is a lot. We're going to unpack it. Use the formula I equals PRT, or I like to party, as Miss Lamb, that little party animal. So let's like break down or chunk this I equals PRT.
I equals?
Go for it.
Oh, I equals the interest. I stands for the word interest. P is the principal. That's the amount of money. That's not the principal like, Mr. Manugo or anything. That's like the principal amount of money that you borrow or invest.
So for Jana, it would be that $245,000, right? The cost of the house.
R is the interest rate as a percentage.
Right, but we're going to convert it to a decimal, right?
Right, but you'll see it as a percentage in the word problem.
So 6.8% is her rate.
And T stands for time. And that's, in this case, 30 years. And you just multiply those three together, and that will give you your interest. Now, here's the other thing, though.
Well, hold on. I don't want to go too fast. Okay, hold on. So let's just calculate interest first, right? Yep, there's the T.
There's the T.
So we have, because then we'll get into all these different ways we can ask this word problem, right? So interest equals principal times rate times time. So now I just kind of take that calculator and I'm going to plug these numbers in. But I want to do that as a decimal as I'm using the calculator. So I'm going to do 6.8 divided by 100 to get that decimal. So 0.068. So that's my percent as a decimal. And then we're going to multiply that by 30. And then we're going to multiply that by that 245,000. So here's the equation that I'm typing in, right? And I can really do this in the Desmos, but just so you can see it big, we kind of kept it here on the board. So I'm going to do 245,000 times 0.068 times 30. And I'm going to get... Did you get this?
Yep.
Oh, man. This makes me nervous.
Oh, wait.
No.
Wait
a minute. Hold on, friends. 245,000
times 0.068 times 30 years. Yes.
Let's collaborate. Yes. Scary numbers. Homeowner, but all right.
You know why it's so scary? And I'll be honest with you.
$499,800.
It's bigger than what she.
That's everything.
No, that's interest.
That's just the interest.
So, everybody stop trying to rush us, right? These are hard problems that we're going to have to work out. So, if I take the principal times the rate rate times the time. Just the interest she has to pay back is $499,800. But does that answer the question? The question says, what is the total amount of money, right? She still has to pay back that $245,000. So I have to add that money back into the interest cost, right? So you have to be careful with these problems. If the problem was, how much interest will she pay? Well, we answered that with our $499,800. How much does she have to pay back to the bank? They're not going to forgive this original principal. So you have to add that back in. And we get a grand total of $744,800, which, my friends, is why you want to have good credit so you can get a lower interest rate. Because the smaller the interest, the less you have to pay back.
Pay it over 15 years instead of 30. Because
Right.
that time really makes a difference.
Right.
And guys, that's reality.
That's real life.
All right.
If you want that nice house, you're going to end up paying all that after 30 years if you let it just stay there.
But that was a lot to unpack, and you always did have to go back to the question.
Right.
Of
Are
what
we
it's asking.
answering the question that's asked? Let's
Okay.
do another one. This was,
Woo.
I was sweating.
All right, Leo bought a boat so he could fish out in the river. He spent $15,000 and the interest was only 3.1% for 5 years. What is the amount of interest that he will pay for his boat? Now I'm going to go straight to, permission to write, maybe blue today.
Okay.
What is the amount of interest? So it's only asking me for the I. So in my I equals PRT, when I'm all done, I know I've answered the question.
Right.
All right. So let's look
Let's
at.
find the P.
All right. P is principal. That's the amount he spent. 15,000.
So there's my principal.
15,000. We're going to times. I'm going to use parentheses if that's
Okay.
okay. And rate is our percentage, and that is 3.1%, which is 0.031 as a decimal. 0.031. Now I did that really quick by going to the left,
Beyonce style.
Yeah, there it is.
And 5 years is the time.
Excuse me, 5 years. So we're going to go ahead and answer our question right now.
15,000
I'm doing it too.
0.031 times 5. I get this, Mrs. Lamb. What did you get?
I'm slower. Woo!
Woo! We're matchies.
Yep, $2,325 in interest.
Which
Answers
answers the
the
question.
question.
Because the question was, what is the interest? If it says, what is the total, then we have to take that next step of adding back in the original cost. But what is the interest? Problem solved.
All right.
Woo! Let's do another one.
Okay.
It says Anaya invested money in an account that yields 6% interest. How much money does she earn in interest when she leaves $3,000 in the account for 4 years? So again, I'm going to go back to that formula. It's always going to be this I equals P.
I was just about to ask, is it always that same formula?
It is always, right?
Okay.
The main thing we have to remember, principal is your original investment, right? Or like the original money. R is that percent, but we will convert it to that decimal. And T is time in years. So if they happen to give you like in 4 months, we would write that as a fraction, 4 over 12. But if it's 4 years, that's that whole number, right? So I'm going to take what I know. She leaves 3,000, so that's that principal, times, I'll use those little stars, 6%, so 0.06, not 0.6, that's 60%,
Ooh.
times 4. You definitely don't want an interest of 60%. BTWs,
Yes.
by the way.
By the way.
So 3,000 times 0.06 times 4 equals $720 in interest.
Anytime I'm using a handheld calculator and I'm doing this, I'm either checking with somebody else or I'm plugging it in twice. Yeah, it's very important. Now, you're so lucky you have Desmos. Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
Desmos.
so if I was doing like an IXL for this, I'd have IXL, Desmos, split screen, that way I could check my numbers.
Yeah.
All right, let's do our last one.
Ooh. Nicholas wants to buy a used car for $12,395 and pay it off in 3 years. If the interest he pays is $2,045.18, what is the interest rate?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So this one's a toughie, right? We're gonna have to work backwards a little bit.
What is
Because
the
now I know
rate
I,
the bank charge?
I know P, I know T, I just don't know R. So this one's super important to pay attention to. If you kind of zoned out a little bit, come back to us, right?
Yeah.
There's also a second video that'll have just questions like this, these kind of weird ones. But really listen and see how Miss Lamb sets this up.
We are setting this up because I know this is the interest.
So
it says
that goes on the side with the I.
And we know principal because this is the amount he borrowed. There's our P.
So $12,395.
$12,395. What I don't know is
That R. So we just write R, right?
Put R. I'm a parentheses person.
And
And then times
3 years.
3 years. Okay.
There's our T.
There's our T. Well, I know that I can multiply those two numbers together. Could you
Yes.
do that for me
So
really
let's
quick?
do 12,395 times 3. So that is 37,185. And what we just did there is we like kind of combined like terms, right? We took like the numbers because we don't know this variable, that missing piece, and so we just did 3 times the principal.
Well,
So now, Miss Lamb, we have to work backwards. We haven't quite reached the algebra unit, right? We're kind of in unit 4 and algebra is unit 5.
I know.
So I know that here is showing multiplication.
What's the, how do we undo it?
So in order to undo multiplication, I do the opposite,
Which is divide.
divide.
I'm going to
So I'm going to divide each side.
And I want to make this a 1. So in
Yeah.
order to make it a 1, it has to be
I'm going to divide it by itself.
by the same number. And of course, it's an equation. We've got the equal sign, so if I do it on one
Right,
side,
whatever you
I
do to
gotta
one
it
side,
on
you have to do the other. That's the same
side.
with fractions, ratios,
Okay.
proportions, and now equations.
And this is going to cancel this out.
Yeah, that's gone.
So then it's just
Let's
R.
write over there, Miss
Okay.
Lamb. We're running out
R
of space here,
equals,
guys.
yeah, true.
All right,
So did you
I'm
do that
gonna
big now? I'm going to do it too.
2, 0, 4,
2,
5.
0, 4, 5.
I'll
Point.
talk to myself, sorry. Now, interest rate, right? So we want that as a percent. So once I get that decimal, I'm going
Did
to
you get it
times
really?
100.
Yeah.
I did get a long one, Miss Lamb, but I think we can just round.
Yes, we definitely will just round to 5.5%.
So if you're working along with us and you got that long decimal, that's okay. Multiply by 100 and then just round to the 10th place, which is fine.
So the rate is 5.5 or
Woo!
5.5%.
That's right. That
Now-
happens to be the tax in Virginia, 5.5%.
This isn't typical. I mean, we don't do a lot of problems like this, but
But you will see them.
you will see them. And sometimes they'll ask for the time. I've never seen them ask for principal.
I have.
Have you?
I have.
Okay.
That
Tricky people.
that lovely math space sometimes asks for principal.
All right, well, moving on,
All
moving
right.
on.
If you are confused, watch that next video. But if you feel like, hey, I got this, I understand I equals PRT, I'm ready to party.
Me too.
Go do that practice activity. Bye.
Bye, see ya.